Hi, I'm Bob Sitze. This is Full of Years. I'm, again, standing in the need of your prayers to get out of a rainstorm that's coming close by. And so take a walk with me to a safer place where I won't be hurt by whatever storms create. Today, I'm Full of Years and I'm Bob Sitze, but I'm also here to ask you to think with me about some ideas about your memorial service that might not be the usual. And this is one of those places where in these blogs, I would cordially invite you to consider what I have to say, but also, if it's necessary, disregard what I have to say. I've gone to a lot of worship services, memorial services in my life. And as I get older, there are more and more of them. You too, right? But one of the things I've noticed is that many of these worship services seem to follow a pattern that leaves out things and ignores things and could be changed for the goals that you and I might have in mind, or the religious professionals have in mind, the people who do this and want to do it well. And so these observations. And if they don't match your own thoughts, forgive me or disregard me. I can handle both. I think there are too many words in worship services for the most part. I come from a tradition of words, and so I understand the power of words, but I also am learning later in my life that there's a value in silence. It evokes kind of a spiritual depth that is not available when you're trying to read the words or understand what they mean or you're singing them. Sometimes words are just noise. Sometimes they pile on each other like an avalanche or a landslide, and they don't do what we hope they would do. That happens in a lot of memorial services, not the rituals, but what I call the analog to the wedding reception, in which the best man, invariably with a few bottles of wine under his belt, or his emotions overwhelming him, says something like this, turning to the groom, "I love you, man." Now, there's nothing wrong with loving another person, especially at a wedding, and there's certainly nothing wrong with best men not knowing what to say, but at worship services in which there's just too many words, a lot of them are they're not useless, but they don't carry the freight we hope they would be. A lot of them are platitudes. A lot of them are the same verbiage we've heard in other places, and a lot of them may not have meaning to a lot of the people who come. I've been at worship services memorial services where many of the people who came had no clue what was going on. They had the hymn book in front of them, and they read the words, but they didn't know what those words meant. The scriptures came and went, and the words of the sermon came and went, and the testimony was evocative, people telling cute stories about the dearly departed. But come on, there's a lot more to life than words, and there's a lot more of these times of deep emotion, a memorial service, than just piling words on top of each other. So I asked the question, what if a worship service was quiet? The songs were quiet, the music was quiet. The time was filled with moments, pauses of quiet, in which folks could imagine what did this passage mean? Could hear the snippet of something and fill in the blanks themselves. Could turn to another person and say, will you pray with me right now about my own life? There's the sense in which worship services that memorialize the dearly departed could also benefit from not focusing so much on the dearly departed. It might be an apostasy or an heresy for you, but for me it begs the question, why do we worship together? Do we come to a wedding service to worship the bride? Do we come to a memorial service to worship the dearly departed? I don't think so. I come to worship to understand what God has in mind for me and what God's doing here. But in a memorial service, what God's done in the life of this person. Worship's about God, not the person who's died, or the person who's getting married, or the featured other. And so what would happen in a worship service if the whole tenor was, yeah, this guy, lived, and this guy died, and he lived well, and he died well, and we all know enough about him to stand up here and tell all about his godly life. But what about each of us? What parts of that person's life could we emulate? What challenges, if that person was here right now, what challenges would he leave with us about the way we should live? What invitations, if he were still here and still alive, what would this person invite us to come along and do, or to think, or to believe, or not forget? I think that a worship service, a memorial service that had that character to it, that was about the people who came, could solve a major problem, which is that people who come to worship services that are memorializing the departed know each other only in a small way. There's the people from work, there's the people from high school, there's the people who are the relatives, there are the dearly departed others' relatives from far away who we haven't seen in years. There are the strangers who show up at every worship service of a memorial kind. And these people don't know each other, except in their small cliques. And so before and after that memorial service, here they stand, all talking to each other about the same things. And right next to them is another small group of people who know something and believe something and hope something completely different, who could learn from each other, who could teach each other. And so how does a memorial service, how will your memorial service be a time in which people enter as strangers, but they leave as friends? That they've inspired each other, that they have motivated each other, that they've witnessed to each other, not about you, you're dead, and your life is well known, but about their own reflections about the meaning of your life for the way that they will live in the future. The things they've learned from you, the lessons they can't forget, the example that you offered them in their lives. What if the service was about them? And then there's the elements, the music, the scriptures, all those things. If you've chosen them well, they do more than just proclaim doctrinal truths. Yeah, I'm a Christian, so I believe that there will be a resurrection of the dead, and I will be part of it. I believe in the joys of heaven. I believe that grieving only lasts for a while. I believe that I will join my relatives with God in heaven. And those are comforting. But it's also comforting to hear things like this. Whatever you did wrong to the dearly departed, you're forgiven. Whatever you would hope for in being with this person or knowing this person, it's going to keep going on because you're going on. What if the truths, the doctrinal, spiritual truths included hopes that this person had for you, and that they're embodied in some writing or some conversation? What if the service's doctrinal or scriptural truths continued with knowledge of God? Sometimes people come to worship services of a memorial kind, and I think some folks are afraid of not only death, but of dying and of the spiritual things that are swirling around those two ideas. So what if the spiritual truth was some assurances about the people who are there, about their own lives, about the inevitability of death, about dying well? I don't know. Maybe that could happen in your memorial service. I hope it'll happen in mine. I hope that you will do more than just do the pro forma for your memorial service, and that in considering the big picture of your life and of your death and its meaning, you'll put together a memorial service that will be unique, not just for creativity's sake, but for the good that it does for the others who have been around you all your life and who will survive you into future years. That's my hope. And it's a strong one, just like it's a strong one for my own service. God keep you.